Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah and welcome to the Safar series for children and parents. Okay, so anyway, welcome to episode number 4. Let's do a quick drill back and remember what we talked about in our last episode. Guys, what do you remember from our last episode? Yes, Yahya.
So when someone ruined his beautiful building, he decided to march down, and then he used the camels, and then he saw that man, and he said, "That's my camels."
Oh, well done. Well, remember, what was the name of that man that got upset? Habiba. Do you remember his name?
Yeah, Abraha, because he didn't like the other cat, but he decided to make his own one. And I also remember that the some birds came round dropping pebbles onto people.
Well done, mashallah. It was to Abraham and his army, and Abraham and his army were finished. And therefore the Arabs were known as the people of God. Anyway, stay tuned in for the end of this episode, but we'll make a few more announcements for those of you that have sent in messages and pieces of homework. Apart from that, let's go straight in. So anyway, we said the Prophet ﷺ was eventually born, and his mum Amina, she was so happy to have him there with her. So again, the time was coming as well. So she was gearing up, quite excited, because the Arabs, they had a tradition. Arabs, they had a custom where whenever they would have a baby child, they would send them off with a Bedouin tribe away from the city and into the middle of the desert where there was no influence from technology or anything like that.
Why did they do that?
Oh, that's a very good question. Why did they do that? Because in the city, they knew that it was so busy and buzzing, and people were doing all sorts of things that wasn't always good. So in the city, people were known to be lying when they would make trades and deals. They would trick each other. Again, they would lie at each other. They would harm each other. And there's so much bad things going on. So they thought if they were to send them away into the middle of the desert with the Bedouins, they had the sort of purity within inside themselves. And what they would do is they would actually teach their children and everyone that was there in the middle of the desert without all the influence. So it's almost like if you take out all the technology we have today, so if you take away social media, you take away mobile phones and internet and all of that, and go back to living without any of that. So no interruptions at all. So that's how they would live. And plus the Bedouins, they were known to have the purity in the Arabic language itself. So they're able to educate them properly, the children, and pull them up and raise them up properly. So anyway, coming back to Amina and the rest of the people that had babies during that time, they were waiting excitedly thinking, yes, the Bedouins are going to come. Who's going to take my child and teach my child? So the importance of having a very good teacher, guys, and children out there, I hope you're being the best of students for your teachers and your parents. So anyway, when the tribes finally came along, they were going around and they were picking the babies. So anyway, so they'll come along and they'll actually take the babies one by one. They'll choose them and they'll say, which one are we going to take to actually go and teach? So one by one, they started taking them away. Okay, Phoenix, is he gonna come? Come here, Phoenix, you can come to me. There we go. So anyway, one by one, the babies were being chosen. And as soon as they'd come to the Prophet Mohammed, they'd look at him and they'd think, but then when they would find out that he doesn't have a father because his father passed away, they would shrug their shoulders and think, we don't want this baby. We don't want little baby Muhammad. Oh no. Do you think that's sad?
Yeah.
Why?
Because at first they loved him so much, but then they found another baby and they broke that promise of they saying they love the baby.
Yeah, that's right. So he'd feel left out in that sense. Do you want to say something, Habiba?
It's not fair for Muhammad because he was little, and just because he had a father doesn't mean he didn't get to go to school.
You mean he didn't have a father?
Yeah, I think he must have wanted to learn and make new friends.
Oh, that's very interesting. So even though he was a baby, yes, he would have maybe wanted those things, But so one by one, they all started taking their pick. However, there was one woman amongst the tribe, and her name was Halima. What was her name?
Halima.
Halima. So when she came along, she looked at him and she also thought, he's really cute. I really want him. But she thought, he doesn't have a father. Would they be able to pay us for looking after the children and educating them? And they were really poor as well. So they needed some sort of financial support. In the end, when all the baby was being taken up, she thought to herself, okay, let me take this baby Mohammed and look after him. So she picked him up and she took him away with her. So as they went back to their donkey and began to mount the donkey, she still had second thoughts, and she was thinking, Halima was thinking, have I made the right choice in taking this partially orphaned child, a child without a father? But her husband turned around and he said to her and reassured her and said, you know what, we've made the right decision. Let's take him and let's look after him and show him love and educate him like all the other babies that we've looked after so far. However, what they noticed was, as soon as they mounted their donkey, when they came, their donkey was very slow. It was very weak and tired, and it went through very slowly, like super slow. However, soon as they got the baby and Halima mounted onto the actual donkey itself, what they noticed was this donkey suddenly transformed. It went like lightning speed. It was going super fast, as if it was a young donkey again and rejuvenated. It was almost like He-Man, like, oh, I have the power, and his tiger turns into super beast mode tiger, and he was charging. So all the people that saw, they were looking at him, and they were looking at Halima riding the donkey, and they were scratching their head thinking, huh? Hey, is this the same donkey that you came with? It can't be. And she would say, yes, it is. And they would say, but your donkey was old and slow. How is it that it's going super fast? And she noticed that this was something special that was suddenly happening. And then as they would continue to travel back towards their tribe or to their hometown and village, she began to feel a bit thirsty. So they had their camel with them as well. And the camel was an old camel that was very weak, and he wasn't able to give much milk. However, when her husband went to actually milk the camel, he realized that there was a lot of milk that was coming out of the others, and it was almost like the camel as well was super strong, and she was able to drink that milk and feed the baby Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and all the other people were able to drink from it as well. And they were so super surprised, and they thought, hold on, something strange and peculiar is happening, but it's very special as well. And she started to think, maybe it's something to do with this baby. Maybe it's a special baby. And eventually, she realized when they went back to their village, they lived in a village where the Banu Sa'ad tribe lived. That's the name of her tribe. And that tribe, they lived in a place that was in severe drought for a very long time. They were in a drought. Yeah.
What's a drought?
Oh, what's a drought? Yes, Habiba.
A drought is when, you know how we get water and we use it to drink and stuff. It comes from rain, and a drought, so it's why we have to save water. So a drought is something where you get no water to drink or do something. So that's why you have to save water.
Oh, very good, and really good advice there as well. And now, when this child came, because of the drought, they had no water, they weren't able to grow crops properly, and the people were very skinny and thin because they weren't able to eat properly, and the animals, they couldn't drink. So they weren't able to give as much milk, and things just looked very dry. However, when Halima came back, the Prophet ﷺ, shortly afterwards, they started to see that the drought started to lift, and they began to get a lot more water, and it began to rain, and there was a lot more greenery that was coming about. And they realized that this was such a blessing that was coming about. So again, they were enjoying lots of milk, lots of vegetation, and they were really happy. And Halima, she held Muhammad ﷺ very close to her heart, because she realized that not only was he well behaved and mannered as a baby, but also there were so many blessings that she was seeing, not only for herself and her family, but also in terms of the entire village itself. So after 2 long years had gone by, the time had finally come for Halima to go and give back baby Mohammed back to his mother, Amina. However, because she grew so fond of him, she didn't want to give him back just yet. She wanted to hold on to him for a little bit longer. And again, also the blessings that she was getting as well. So she wanted to continue getting those as well. So when she did take Muhammad ﷺ back to his mother, she pleaded with him and oh, hello, who's this? Hello, Mr. Fluffy. So anyway, she pleaded with his mother and she said, please let me hold on to baby Muhammad for a little bit longer. But Amina, she wanted Muhammad ﷺ back, and because she had missed him 2 years, she hadn't seen him. That's a long time. It's like being in boarding school. You don't really get to see your child for a very long time. This was 2 long years. However, Halima, she managed to convince Amina by saying, look, if I hold him for a bit longer, I can teach him a lot more and he'll become stronger when he grows up as a young man. So Amina, she thought, oh, okay, and she gave in. So Halima, again, super excited, she took Muhammad ﷺ, he's 2 years old now. How old is he, guys? 2. So she took him back and she carried to look after him. However, one day, when the Prophet ﷺ, he was there as a young little boy, he was playing with some of his friends at the time. So they were playing with their toys. Get to the rescue! Angel Jibreel alayhi salam, he came down. And the other kids that were playing, they stopped and they froze. And Angel Jibreel alayhi salam, he came down to Muhammad at the time. And he held the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he cleaned his heart with Zamzam water. And there was a tiny little clot there on his heart that he removed as well. And the other children seeing this, they thought, oh! They started crying and they were so worried because they didn't know who it was. They thought stranger danger. We need help. And they ran as quick as they could to Halima. Halima, as soon as she heard, she thought, oh! And she ran very quickly to go and see Muhammad ﷺ to see if it was true and what was going on. Now when she went to see him, she found him just sitting there. His face had changed colour a little bit. He was a little bit more pale. And she thought, oh no, what had happened? Did it really happen? Did it not? And she began to get a bit worried. So she decided in the end, maybe I should take him back to his mother. So she immediately sort of took him back and said to Amina, thank you so much again for letting me look after him, but now I think it's time for him to go back to you. So anyway, Amina, she was really happy and excited because she had who back with her? Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She had him back with her. So she spent some time with him until he was about 6 years of age. And then she decided to hold his hand and take him on a little special family trip with her. And they went to visit some relatives. However, on the way back, she fell ill. And the Prophet ﷺ at the time, he was a little boy, he was only 6. And she didn't make it. She passed away. So now the Prophet ﷺ, without a mother and a father, became an orphan. What did he become?
An orphanage.
An orphan? Not an orphanage. An orphan? What does that mean? He has
no parents.
No parents. He has no father and no mother. Do you guys remember what his father's name was?
I don't know what his father's name was, but I have heard the story before.
What happened to his father?
His father passed away when he was 2, so his granny and grandpa had to look after him, and then they passed away too.
Oh, that was very close, Habiba. Yahya.
I know the name.
What's his name?
Abraham.
No, it wasn't Abraham, but it does become with A. Do you guys remember at home? It was
Abdullah.
Abdullah! That's it. Well done, Habiba. His father was Abdullah and he passed away before the Prophet ﷺ was born. But now his mother had passed away at the age of 6. So his grandfather, Abdul Muttalib, who loved him so much as well. What was his grandfather's name? Abdul Muttalib. He took him into his care and he looked after him. And he loved Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam like his own children. In fact, he loved him so much that out of all his children, he would allow Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to go and sit on his special chair besides the Kaaba, and it was a special chair that was made for Abdul Muttalib because he was like the chief of the clan, and it had special shade for him as well. And he would let Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a young boy go and sit there sometimes with him as well. And this was a huge privilege that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam actually had. However, he didn't spend much time with his grandfather.
He passed away, so then...
Well done, Habiba. He passed away when the Prophet ﷺ was 8 years of age, so only spent 2 years with his grandfather. However, he had someone else that was very dear to him. He had his uncle. So his uncle Abu Talib, he loved him dearly as well, and his uncle actually took him into his care because he loved him as well, and he took him and he looked after him for many years to come. And that brings us to the end of our episode 4. Hope you've enjoyed it. Where's Habiba gone? Where's Habiba?
I don't know.
You don't know? Why has she left?
Because she was sad about when Mohammed did the heart.
Yeah, that's right. Habiba had to leave us because she felt quite emotionally sad because of the story about the Prophet ﷺ being left all alone. And it'd be really great to hear from you guys at home as well in this episode. So again, speak to your mother or your father, and maybe send in an email to let us know how you'd feel if you were an orphan. There are hundreds and thousands of orphans all around the world, and that's why it's so important for us to look after them as well, especially because they don't have any mummy or daddy to be there for them. And we also said that we'll give a quick shout out as well. I'm just going to quickly grab our screen here. The message that I wanted to highlight for today was from Sister Nagina, who said that her daughters Hafsa, Khadija and Aisha, they've been watching the episodes, and they did submit the actual answer to one of our previous episodes of Surah Fil. And again, just wanted to highlight the fact that she's been watching the actual series with the entire family, and the family have been engaged in asking questions. And I thought this was really, really empowering, especially for all the families out there, not only for your children to watch it, but also the parents as well. Especially with Ramadan coming just around the corner, it's a brilliant opportunity to go back and look back at the Seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, and look back at how the Quran was revealed during the month of Ramadan as well. Anyway guys, that does bring us back to the end of our episode today. Join us in our next episode, where we will give out a lot more shout outs as well. So feel free to send in your comments, and also we'll be looking at the next steps of the Prophet's life as a childhood into a young man. Stay tuned. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Out.